We're joined this morning by baseball head coach Will Sanborn. Coach, you are about to begin, is it your 24th season?
Yes.
It's hard to believe. It's I bet time has flown in that regard, in some ways. But you're headed out to Florida tomorrow morning for 8 games on this trip. You guys have been practicing indoors, just like always here the past 4 to 6 weeks. Talk about how the team looks at this point.
Well, it's exciting. It'll be exciting to get going. I think our team looks good. You know, they've worked really hard. We've had a great season of fall baseball. Their commitment was tremendous in the off season, in the weight room. In the last 5 weeks of practice, guys have really worked hard. We spent a lot of time on every aspect of the game, and I think we're just about ready to start playing and let the game itself teach us a little more.
So last year, obviously, the season didn't go as you scripted it. Bats kind of went silent at the wrong time in the GNAC tournament, and you give credit to the other teams, of course. What kind of motivating factor is that for the returning group this year to bring it home, as what you guys are using as your catchphrase?
Yeah, I think first of all, you know, if we look back at last year, it was a great year in a lot of ways. Great regular season with a very tough schedule. You know, maybe we just peaked a little bit too early, and you know, didn't perform on the day we needed to in the GNAC tournament. So you have to kind of step back from it, I think, and look at it, you know, as overall a really strong season, but yet try to look at some of the reasons that maybe you know, we weren't able to repeat again as conference champions. And I think, you know, it's every little aspect of what we're doing we've taken a look at, and we've tried to improve our game and also improve our mental approach. We're trying to make our players a lot more mentally tough, and that's coming into play every single day in practice, and we hope that pays off, you know, this year when it counts.
Now, do you think, obviously you want to win the championship every year, but do you think every so often that kind of refines the focus a little bit to have a bump in the road and guys get a taste of what it's not like to just get the title every single year? Sure.
I think the guys are real focused, but you know, every year really is an independent year, and you know, nothing we do this year, you know, we're not going to take a single run or a single play from last year and bring it to this year. That's all in the rearview mirror. It's all in the past. But I do think there is a certain level of you know, kind of heightened motivation and determination by this group, particularly the seniors. Hey, it's their, you know, it's their last rodeo, and they want to make sure they go out in the right way.
So the way your team is made up, I mean, it seems like you know, you have some upperclassmen that contribute for sure, some seniors, and that junior class is very talented, but some new guys in the fold. You know, seemingly every year it's a strong recruiting class. This year is no exception. How do you think the new guys are fitting in, and what's the mix look like this year as far as, you know, the chemistry of the team?
I think they're fitting in very well. First of all, you know, a nice thing about this freshman group, you know, they're bright kids and they're baseball guys, so they learn very quickly. I think they've learned the system well. I feel, in a lot of ways, you know, more confident in these young players than I can remember in the past. I think they're ready to go. So it'll just be, you know, trying to take a look at how we use them, how we mix them in. But we're not going to hesitate to play our young guys because we think they're real well prepared. They've worked hard. They've really focused on making that learning curve as short as possible. Now they just need to play, and I think they're going to be able to contribute in key ways right away.
Now, one thing that has come up in random conversations about the team is the pitching that was lost last year with the 3 guys, with Valenti, Meekin, Sanborn. A lot of innings there and a lot of quality innings. And I know that's something that the coaching staff is focused on trying to replace with some different guys. And of course, you know, they'll be guys that take up the innings and new faces in those spots. But what do you think? What do you say to people that think that, well, pitching's a big question for this team?
Well, I like our pitching. I like the way it's come along, particularly in these last 5 weeks. We've seen tremendous improvement. And I kind of have to rely on, what I see in the cage and what I know about what I believe it takes to perform and be successful at this level. And we've got a whole host of guys that have shown great improvement, and they're ready to go. The fact that in the past they've had other guys in front of them, now the path is cleared, the opportunity is there for them. And sure, they'll get hit on the way just like every other pitcher does or every pitching staff does. They're not going to go out there and be perfect. But I do feel really good about the staff as a whole. There's a bunch of strike throwers there. They compete. They know how to keep the ball down. They've come along real nicely. So I'm excited about the pitching staff. And I think it's going to build into, quite possibly one of the deeper staffs that we've had, in the last few years. It's going to take maybe a little bit of time to figure out what the roles are and who fits where, but I really like this group on the mound.
If we talk about pitching, let's talk about the lineup. Now, it looks like on paper this is going to be a very strong lineup.
Well, I think, on paper means just that. It's on paper. We've got to go out and do it, but I'm comfortable with our lineup. The thing I like about it this year is there seems to be a lot more depth there in a couple of key ways. There seems to be more bats that you can plug in situationally and bring off the bench perhaps. So I think we get a lot more flexibility there. I think it's a lot deeper, and I think the team speed has really improved, and I'm excited about that. We've been working hard on kind of how we're going to implement that and how it's going to fit. We spent a ton of time on our base running here in the spring, probably more than any other year. And our guys have really retained that. They've really grabbed a hold of it. So I'm excited about our ability to run the bases. I think that's going to be something that people might find a little bit new about our team.
Defensively, some very strong defensive players returning from behind the plate to all the way around the outfield, and some juniors and some new faces potentially in the infield. Just kind of talk about the strength of the defense of this team, which is usually a hallmark of this program.
Yeah, I think we should play good, solid defense. Again, there's a depth there, and there's an athleticism that we've added with some of these first-year guys that I'm excited about. We've worked hard too in making sure that we play kind of a conservative brand of defense, that we limit other teams from getting to second base. We're really focused on protecting second base, being smart with our cutoffs and relays, trying to minimize any mistakes that might lead people to taking an extra base. So we spent a lot of time on that, and I think that's going to pay off. Again, you're not going to play perfect. We're coming off a gym floor. We're coming off a 5-week period with not a single fly ball outside. So there's going to be a learning curve there, but I look for the defense to just continue to steadily improve as the year goes on, and hopefully be a real strong point. That's the nice thing. That's the way you hope it works out, that fits well with a bunch of pitchers that throw strikes and keep the ball down. Play some good defense, not beat ourselves, keep us in a lot of games.
Let's talk about your spring trip schedule a little bit. You kick off with a doubleheader on Sunday against WPI. For a span there, that was the first team you faced in Florida almost every year. Now we're getting back to that. That's a good program. That's a good team to start with. I know they're always tough and fundamental. But talk about the trip as a whole. I know there's some teams there that maybe people look at, don't recognize the school names, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean everybody down there that we're playing on this trip is really strong and got a good ball club. You start right off with WPI, and those guys always have an excellent team. They swing the bat particularly well. We're going to have to be ready right from day one. Ursinus always has a good team. We've got Wisconsin Stevens Point down there. That's a traditional Division III powerhouse. Wheaton College has a great team that they put on the field. They're perennial New England power. Western New England, always a Super Bowl club, and then we've got Concordia right in the middle of things, and they're a national powerhouse now. Led the nation in stolen bases last year with an unbelievable percentage. Just a top team. So we'll be right into the fire right away, which will be good. It'll show us what we need to work on. It'll point out our weaknesses. We're going to have to kind of take a long-term approach to things and understand that we got to learn from the game. That's going to make us better, and a strong schedule, just benefits us in the long run.
And also a strong, schedule when you come back. You have the MITs, the Endicotts, Southern Maines, Bates, Bowdoin, some very good teams there as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that's demanding about this Florida schedule, is just the timing of it. I mean, it's really compressed. We've got the 8 varsity games in the 8 or 9 days, plus 4 JV games. All those games are in the morning, so it's up early and at 'em. It's always 2 games a day, either a doubleheader for the varsity or varsity and then a JV game to follow. So just that part of it is pretty darn demanding, no matter who you play. And then you're going to play against some of the top teams in the country, so you better be ready, you better be focused, you better be awake. As long as we're prepared, as long as we're ready to go every day, I think our guys will play well.
I don't want to jinx anything, but you look out at the fields, and they're certainly quite a bit more clear than they were last year at this point, and maybe a lot of years at this point. Maybe some alums listening to this will either be happy to hear that for these guys, or maybe envious. But how big of an effect is that for this program to know that there's a good chance they come back and there's not a lot of work to be done in that field?
Well, it's nice. I mean, there'll still be a lot of work to get done to get it ready to play, but the surface itself, I mean, to be here the first week of March and have a field that's basically clear is pretty darn unusual. Now, March is a winter month in the state of Maine, and it probably always will be. So, we can get late storms, we can certainly get cold weather, but we do feel like we're ahead of the game now, and hopefully we come back, we do a little bit of work out there, and maybe we start to get some outdoor practices. We don't have to battle it perhaps quite as much as we've had in the past.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
So let's talk about that second spring trip. Last year you tried 3 trips, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Tenuous during those last 2 trips with rain and cold and all those kinds of things up and down the East Coast. This year you said, no, we're just going to go to Florida twice because we're pretty sure what we're going to get. So talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia and North Carolina were great for us, but it can be just that much more iffy with the weather. So we said, hey, let's go to Florida twice. I don't think anybody else at the Division III level is doing that in New England. I think it gives us a leg up that way. It's certainly a strong recruiting piece. Our guys, our families work hard on the recruiting piece of this to make it happen, or the fundraising piece of this to make it happen. It's a lot of money to raise, but it's great to go twice. You can count on the weather in Florida, and that'll be another nice trip. And we're fortunate this year with Easter being in March, a little Easter break from school, so it works out perfect.
I'll end this video interview with kind of a question about the conference in this year, the changes in where the GNAC tournament lies, and the pushing back of 2 weeks, and what kind of impact that has on your season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I mean, we've traditionally in the GNAC had our conference tournament very early, the last week of April. Now it's been pushed into May. It should make things so much better, allow us to spread out the schedule a little bit, allow your conference tournament to come at kind of at the end of things, not 3/4 of the way through. Spacing should be better, but it has its challenges. It's also right during final exam time here at St. Joseph's, so that's something that we're going to have to work our way through and make sure our players, keep their academics first. But it'll be interesting to see. We're looking forward to it. We have a predetermined host in the conference, so this year it'll be down at Johnson and Wales, and we're hopeful that we can get back there and make a run at things.
All right, Coach, was there anything else to add? You want to tell anybody about anything else, or try to get people to come out for the team and watch some games this spring?
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it. We've got a great crew traveling to Florida of parents and supporters, so we'll have good attendance down there at those games, I know, and we'll look forward to seeing people at a home game at St. Joseph's soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.